Welcome to Paulogia and another edition of Ham and Egg News, where Morgan and I react to Ken Ham reacting to things he misunderstands.
Let's get started with today's Answers News for April 10th, 2017. See what happens.
Good afternoon. We got to have a lot of fun when we
gotta
start
really
these
talk
programs
about
off. But welcome to Answers News. We want to see those explosives of emojis popping up here as well. But
yeah, we've only got 7 people on. I'm not going to. You keep talking.
Oh, yeah.
You keep talking. Oh, 20. Oh, it's going up.
We'll get
you
ready.
keep talking until we get a decent number, then I'll talk.
Ken needs a decent number of explosions, and then he'll be good to go. Then we're ready to start.
Somebody took a video of somebody being dragged off a United Airlines flight because they were overbooked. Actually, it doesn't surprise me. I've been on those sorts of flights, and I tell you, I had my Delta day because we're in Missoula and we're going to come home.
Wait a minute. By now everyone's seen this video of this passenger, and you know how inhumane and disturbing it is. Did Ken really watch this video and decide that he had a topper story? Some kinda, that's nothing. After one sentence, this caring Christian has moved on to his own flight nightmare? This is monumentally self-unaware. You gotta dial back the persecution narrative, boss.
Your Missoula flight is cancelled. So the next thing, there were 4 of us actually travelling out on that flight. Next thing, I get a text that says, you've been rerouted, leaving in the afternoon through Salt Lake.
Is this supposed to be Answers News, or is this supposed to be, like, talk about what happened on Ken Ham's fucking Montana trip?
If only someone had videotaped this, because it's definitely on par with getting beat up and dragged off a plane.
To go come back home. And then one of the others, my colleagues with me, and because we had one vehicle, to get prices and so on that we rented, and he was rerouted through Seattle to Salt Lake to back home. And the other 2 couldn't get on any flight because there were no seats left, and who knows if they would have cancelled their flight in the afternoon anyway. So then we found out that somebody was willing to drive us to Bozeman, over the pass of Bozeman, that was 3 hours away. And so we managed to find a flight from Bozeman to Minneapolis, and they only had 3 seats on.
I was hoping to get into some news eventually.
But there was one in first class, and because I'm Diamond, then we had to get somebody had to call my assistant.
Diamond status.
To call Delta, get on Delta on the phone, which was an hour and 48-minute wait, even for Diamond status. So we eventually got me upgraded to the first class seat, so we could free up 3 other seats for the others. So then so we got there, so we drove to Bozeman, had 1 hour sleep, and we got to the airport, but before we went to the airport, when I woke up at 2 in the morning, I got a little message from Delta saying my flight was delayed, and that means we were going to miss our connection in Minneapolis. And so then we went out there, and so then they said the next flight was overbooked, they couldn't get us on that.
What I'm inferring is that because we live in a fallen world, all of Ken Ham's flights get delayed or canceled, or he misses connections. Like, I'm assuming that's what the logic of this story is. I'm hoping something happens soon. It's so fascinating for me to know these things. I write them in my ledger.
And then I could get us on the aircraft flight, and then later on, so my assistant was still on the phone with Delta hours later, and for another hour and a half, and then found a seat that came free and got me on that, but the other person couldn't. And anyway, while we're flying, they kept monitoring the flights and got seats for that person.
Anyway, I got home, finally got home, and it was a horrible day.
But it's okay, because now we finally know that he got home and he was safe and that everything turned out okay. Which all could have happened in like 30 fucking seconds. I pity the ham. I really do. Not really. Not really. I don't. I'm going to take this moment, just like Ken Ham did, to take a break and talk about my travel experiences. Springtime with the nice weather the first time when I went to the lake. I stopped at a Carl's Jr. about 2 miles from the lake just so I could load up on carbohydrates and delicious chicken tenders because they're the best fucking anywhere. I parked my bike right in front of this Carl's Jr. Free parking because I'm Diamond status. So I park my bike, I lock it up, I take my bag in there with me, and I eat. And I guess I should have prefaced this with the fact that I have a bike bag on my bike. I don't typically leave things in there when I stop to, run an errand or to eat lunch or whatever it may be. But sometimes I'll leave, my receipts, my pair of headphones that are shitty and cheap anyways, gum wrappers, high chew wrappers, all that other sort of garbage. I leave it in there. And I left a Cliff Bar in there that I was going to have once I got to the lake. And I come out of this Carl's Jr. fat and fed and feeling really American. And I go to my bike bag and I put my phone in there because I listen to music while I bike. And I find that the Cliff Bar is nowhere in sight. It's not there. I can't feel it. So I look in the bike bag and realize that the thing has fucking disappeared. And of course, I'm kind of curious because I'm in a nicer area of town. Tech execs and CEOs live in this area because they're by the lake. It's really nice. Someone stole my protein bar from my bike bag in front of a Carl's Jr. I knew that it had been kept in there because right before I'd left, I'd been, I'll just leave that in there. Why do I need to take a fucking protein bar into a fast food restaurant with me? Apparently, the answer is because people will fucking steal it. But luckily, I just go across the street and I buy another one. And I'm hoping, sincerely hoping, whoever took that protein bar was going to the lake also and needed it. You know, it was just a fortuitous moment for them that they happened to go through someone else's shit, find something that they needed/wanted that wasn't incredibly valuable unless you were someone like me, and decided to take it. So that's my little expose on my travel discomforts. Because then I got to the lake and it was awesome, and I just sunned out on the granite and checked out all the proofs for Noah's flood. It was amazing. But I'm still pretty pissed someone took my fucking protein bar. Don't get me wrong. Lesson learned is, no matter what part of the neighborhood you're at, always take your protein bars in with you. Someone will steal them. And most especially, they will steal them if you're in front of a fast food restaurant. Lesson learned.
Are you done?
That was pretty ridiculous. Let's just keep going. Let's go. We'll do this.
Moving on.
That's why, just to let you know, you need to pray for us and when we're flying. Flying these days is the pits.
I come back into this after telling my story, and Ken says that you have to pray for him because he has fucking lost connections and missed flights and all these other little travel woes and all this other sort of stuff. Like, that's fucking funny. I'm sorry. Flying is the pits, so pray for me. I'm writing it in my ledger as we speak.
There was a news item on Fox News this morning.
Fox News again! It's like the only place you can actually get real news. So it's the only place they want to source for Answers News. That and New Scientist. Because those people are stupid. And they're also from the UK. But that's an amazing magazine. I love it.
Over-the-top weddings lessen chances of divorce. They said there's statistical analysis. If you pay more for your wedding and it's a bigger wedding, you're less likely to get a divorce.
Poor Georgia is just going back to the days when she's like, we only paid $2,000 for our wedding and I already want to divorce this guy. That was terrible. I'm a terrible human being. Oh my God.
If you marry an Australian, you're less likely to get a divorce. Isn't that right?
It's true. Australia has all the best marriage role models. I mean, they have the guy who played Crocodile Dundee, who left his wife to marry his co-star. Hugh Jackman's barely starting his first divorce. Nicole Kidman's had only 2 marriages, but this second one is a Kiwi, so that's probably trouble. Mel Gibson made that Jesus movie, so it's okay that he's on his third partner. Look to the Aussie. I mean, look at this. The U.S. divorce rate is a massive 53%, while the Australian rate barely even registers at just 43%. Give me a break. Still, that Australian accent?
Actually, if you have a third partner in your marriage called the Lord Jesus Christ.
Threesomes are good marriages, but only if one of them is the weird ghost guy that nobody talks about. But he is watching you, whether he has the camera or not.
And it's not even true. According to Barna Research Group's latest study on divorce statistics, atheists and agnostics are least likely to get divorced at only a 21% rate, compared to a 34% rate among Christians. Perhaps holding up marriage as the only outlet for young adult sexuality isn't a winning strategy after all.
Okay, so we ready to start now?
We're ready to jump into some of
That's
these,
just a fun intro.
Okay, this is ridiculous. This is the intro and we're fucking 5 minutes in.
We might mention there's a shooting. Was that in San Bernardino? Is that where they said it was?
San Bernardino Elementary School said it was a murder-suicide, so I don't know what's going on
Yeah,
there.
so you're going to be watching the news items for that.
So it's,
a reminder of death and suffering in the sin-cursed world.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, does everything have to come back to fucking shit we can't necessarily explain unless we go back 5,000 fucking years to Adam and Eve?
How self-unaware are these guys? They're just going to casually off the cuff mention dead children to remind everyone that they told you so. I'm sure the parents and families will be pleased to know that their filthy sinner children got what they deserved and can be part of this impromptu object lesson on social media.
You can feel bad, but never too bad, because that's just the way things are, and we're not going to be able to change that.
Oh, look, they're sending those emoji things. And,
All right, yeah.
Hearts and things like that.
This just in, some human children just died. Oh, never mind. Stroke my ego with social media clicks. Only unborn fetuses are more important than emojis.
Did you know there's somebody, one of the other ones last week, who commented, love you guys and the lady?
That's right. They're not gentlemen, but I'm a lady.
She didn't get the joke, which is fucking hilarious. She's doing her job. I love you, Georgia. You're my boo.
All right, this first one from Press Herald. Experts say LePage's pardon of a dog reflects evolution in animal law. Essentially, a dog has been elevated to the position of personhood to be able to grant it clemency. Instead of it being seen as property, it's almost seen as though it has human rights.
But isn't this consistent with evolutionary belief? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're related to the animals, you should treat animals just like you treat people.
I don't think that I would say that it's consistent with an evolutionary worldview. From my perspective as a very big dog behavior person, I've dealt with stuff like this very frequently. So I'm reading this article from the Portland Press Herald, and it's talking about this dog who is a 4-year-old Siberian Husky named Dakota. And they want to euthanize this dog because it attacked and killed a neighboring dog last year and then attacked another dog at the same house this year. Advocates for Dakota say she is a sweet dog whose aggressive behavior was influenced by an abusive owner. Now that's a sentence that I think is emotionally acceptable for a lot of people. From my years of experience in socializing dogs, being a dog socializer at my local animal shelter, dogs are not trained necessarily to be bad as much as allowed to. So you have this Siberian Husky, a breed of dog that is typically not aggressive towards other dogs as much as they are inherently capable of having what's called prey drive, which means the incessant need to chase things, to play with things. These kinds of things trigger a physical response in a dog to want to get into either play or kill mode. And with dogs like that, something that's inherently genetic because of their breed and their temperament, those are not necessarily things that you can always train away, but they are absolutely things that you can sort of let go of your responsibility for, and they get worse and worse. But to say that advocates for this dog to not be euthanized are saying that it's the owner's fault for abusing it, I don't necessarily think that that's true at all. I think that it's absolutely the owner's fault that this dog managed to get out of the house twice and kill a dog at one time and then attack and harm a dog the second time. That is absolutely 110% on the owner. Controlling these behaviors and controlling what your dog does when you're around it and when you're not around it, controlling its environment, is incredibly important, as to be the single most important thing you can ever do with a dog. If you're looking for somebody who really has their head on straight in regards to scientific-based animal behavior, I recommend Michael Ellis and his dog training school, and he also has a lot of really, really great and informative YouTube videos. The governor's pardon is in line with recent developments in animal law, which means that historically animals were typically regarded legally as property, but now, thanks to science, that's changing. It's saying there's been a lot of recent development in science and cognitive studies of animals and their brains, and these studies have shown that animals have intentionality and they have emotions like regret, and that we take those considerations and those emotions into consideration when a person is pardoned. Because it's unclear whether LePage's actions carry legal weight or merely symbolic. A court hearing on an appeal of Dakota's euthanization, it's really scary that this dog could potentially not be euthanized and go back scot-free. I didn't see anything in there really about being dogs treated like humans. If the governor can pardon a turkey, isn't that something that the actual president can do too? I think that this article was blown way out of context, and this just, fortunately for me, ended up being a story about people who don't understand dog behavior and people who don't know that what they're really doing is perpetuating ignorance for scientific basis of making sure that your dog is treated like a dog. Unfortunately, I think that when it comes to owner error, the dog is essentially collateral damage. It's a double-edged sword because if you don't want these things to happen, you can't always police what people are going to do with their dogs. And if you have a dog breed like a Siberian Husky who's very prone to getting bored and escaping, and they are definitely one of those types of dogs to have that sort of innate aggression towards other animals because of their prey drive. And then you're dealing with a dog that's escaped out of the house, which, for lack of a better term, is irresponsible on part of the owner. There's no excuse for it. The governor apparently can do whatever he wants and pardon the dog or do whatever. But coming from a purely behavioral standpoint, it's the safest option for everyone involved. You can't blame anyone but the owner when that happens. This is a domesticated animal we're talking about. I'd probably have more sympathy for a wild tiger or something getting shot by the police, but in regards to dog behavior, this is unacceptable. I think the pardon was unacceptable. I think the shelter's inconsistency with adopting out a dog that was known to have aggression problems is uncalled for and unacceptable. But I don't think that this article is saying that dogs are supposed to be people. I think that's something that is not the crux of this article. The crux of this article is that people are irresponsible and they should be held accountable for what happens when their pets do something bad. And that's something that I have been taught by people in the industry, in the animal rescue industry, and that I've seen personally. Those are my opinions and my opinions only. Creationists and dog trainers have the same kind of mentality when it comes to what to believe about dog behavior. There's the scientifically based people, like myself, and then there are the kind of like more emotional, faith-based people who go with Caesar Milan and the dog whisperer.
But then, remember, Bill Nye said we're related to bananas, right? Because
Yeah,
from an
bananas.
evolutionary perspective, we're related to plants, so
Right.
a banana's going to have rights now too?
It's not weird to me, because I'm related to a banana, and I have plenty of bananas as family members, and I believe they should be treated with the same equal rights as my cat. But I don't know, maybe I'm just wrong about that, for some reason, somehow.
I know. I ate one this morning.
That's some cannibal shit, but hopefully you ate that banana placenta with some organic vegetables. That would be great.
You know, when you're in a culture where people are starting to change what the definition of property is, you got to start watching out for that. To me, that's a red flag.
It's like a red flag for somebody like Georgia, who back in the day would be someone's property. I bet you there were people saying the exact same thing that Bodie just did. You gotta watch out for that. Pretty soon, she'll have her own autonomy and drink out of the privileged people fountain. You gotta watch out for that. You really do. I'm proof positive of that. Some bad shit happened to get me where I am today. Let me tell you that.
By the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, the more Christians that follow me on Twitter, the better, because the secularists make all sorts of nasty comments on there. I don't read most of them.
Did he just admit that there are more secularists making fun of him than there are Christians supporting him? It's like, mind fucking blown. But again, Ken needs to understand haters gonna hate, or he's never gonna be able to get through this whole internet emoji thing.
Once you
Yeah.
don't have a basis in absolute authority, anything goes.
Yeah, and this is like step one at bringing back slavery.
Hey, somebody mentioned the Tasmanian tiger on comments.
Hey,
you
we're
know,
talking
there we
about
go.
it.
That's
Hey,
the next.
we actually have a DVD.
We have a DVD. Is this just like the we have a book thing? Can I say we have a DVD? Can I say we have a YouTube video? Because that's typically what I tend to say nowadays. We have a YouTube video. And then where the fuck is my like cacophonous applause and like zeal and vigor from the audience? Nowhere. Because no one wants to watch a fucking video. They want a book with chapters or a DVD.
It's part of the Wild Brothers series called Tiger Trail. So you can follow them on that adventure if you wanted to.
But Bodie's like, it's not my fucking book or DVD, so I don't really give a shit. Same thing with Georgia.
For at least $675,000, you can own a handwritten page from Charles Darwin's manuscript On the Origin of Species.
Triggered.
So the atheists always want to bash us and say, well, how could you spend $100 million on an ark when you could have used that money to feed the poor? Okay, why are you spending $675,000 on one page from Darwin?
Take that, science! Relativity is bullshit!
You can feed the poor.
Yeah, but that's different. That's different.
That's way less fucking money, Georgia. Calm the fuck down.
Whenever it's to do with Christian group, you should use money to feed the poor.
Oh, well, fuck you, Ken.
But when it's something else, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's the famous Judas proposition.
It's one of my favorite Lady Gaga songs.
Bodie, this next one's right up your alley. You like talking about Egypt and pyramids. And
Really enjoying the giggle just then, PhD. Really enjoying it.
Next one here came from Fox News.
I would have never guessed. If I had to guess, like, I need to start doing guess. Is it Fox News? Is it Fox News? Is it Fox News? Or is it the LA Times? The one time.
Egypt just found another ancient pyramid. I didn't know you can lose those so easily. But, the fact is, this reminds me of a little kid show called Despicable Me.
Yeah.
did I have that on, what do you call it? What do I watch on TV? You know.
Netflix?
I love that, like, Georgia, the whole time it's like Ken asks questions about technology and shit. She just gets this look on her face. Like she's dealing with a senile, like, 110-year-old man. Like, you should know this shit, but you're fucking a century old. Like, I love it. It's hilarious to me.
Netflix. Oh, yeah. That.
Yes, they probably.
And then when he gets it, you give him a cookie and a little shot of whiskey.
I'm too busy traveling and speaking and getting lost on Delta Airlines and getting cancelled flights to even see these things.
Pray for him.
Of course, pyramids were built after the flood of Noah's day. The pyramids, the fact is, Egypt is one of Noah's grandsons, Mitzrayim.
Is this something I can like read about online? I need to know because this is getting way too awkward fanfic status for me.
Well, they only say 3,700 years
That's
old.
right.
So
Catastrophes happen.
Wait. You guys went round and round with your usual chants and mantras to defend your sensitive audience from any findings that might challenge a literal interpretation of the Bible worldview? And then the article itself you're complaining about says just 3,700 years ago? So it doesn't actually contradict your flood dates at all. Why didn't you lead with that? You are terrible at your job.
There are people that get on these Answers news live that we do, and they put all these angry faces.
Oh no, watch out, he's talking about us.
Shh, quiet.
And then people say to them, if you're angry, go away. You don't have to watch this.
Haters gonna fucking hate, Ken. Do I have to send you a goddamn email?
Okay, Breitbart.
No! Oh, God! Why do we have to go from Fox News to Breitbart? What has happened? What is fucking happening to the credibility of this?
You thought there was credibility in this?
I believe everything up until Breitbart. Come the fuck on. I'm pretty fucking gullible with this shit.
Race is a social construct.
Oh, fucking God. Oh, fucking God.
She said, I want to be careful because certainly every category of identity is, with its own unique circumstance and challenges, but for sure there is some similarity in terms of harmonizing the outer appearance with the inner feeling.
Yeah.
What if somebody says they feel they're a dog or a cat?
Well, yeah.
Actually, there are people
There are
like
people
that.
that,
Is he talking about furries? Did Ken watch that documentary on furries?
You can never draw lines. You have to allow everything, right? Because everything is bullshit. I'm fucking tired of this argument to, like, bullshit. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's the, like, technical term for it.
you're totally denying how God created you to be. I mean, what God created, who you are. God created you. You're unique, and yet they want to deny that and be who they want to.
So everyone is made exactly how God wants them to be a unique person. But God makes some people whose mind, soul, being, or sexual attraction doesn't match the XY pattern of their chromosomes. Those two things are a divine mismatch. By what basis do we determine whether God made a mistake in the sex organs or a mistake in the person? Or one is probably the result of sin, I'm guessing they would say. But how do we know which part is the sin part that God wants us to change?
So there's transgender, trans black, trans Rachel.
You can be trans Rachel if you identify as Rachel. That's pretty good.
Trans Ross, trans Joey, all the friends.
It's so wishy-washy, and you can be whatever you want to be and whoever you want to be and identify.
Obviously, you have to treat others with kindness regardless of what they think and feel and believe, and et cetera, et cetera. We have to have some understanding that way. I don't think there's anyone out there trying to force kids to be transracial or gay or trans black or whatever it may be, but to get kids to have an understanding of what that means, that other people have a right to think things differently than you, et cetera, having empathy, et cetera, to just be inclusive, but to not necessarily pander to people, I think is kind of like the golden median. Hopefully, in the end, is for the march of progress in society, and that we can have empathy for our fellow man, as long as they don't work for Answers in Genesis and are stupid. Not necessarily mutually exclusive, but two different things that I happen to agree with.
And you can't just go fill it in, like you can't take dino DNA, fill it in with frog DNA, and get a dinosaur.
That's fucking stupid, because that's what you do with the Bible.
What?
Isn't it? I don't know. That was a terrible joke, but I'm full of it today.
You mean like the Giants versus dinosaur gladiator fight thing?
Or, I'm sorry, what they would call as artistic license would be filling it in, as it were, right?
Sure.
All right, Smithsonian Magazine found one of the oldest North American settlements.
All right, this is the Smithsonian, which is not Breitbart or Fox News, inexplicably. I'm very excited.
And I got excited about that, but of course they throw the dates out here that are just dead wrong.
Yeah.
And
They say 14,000 years ago.
That's right.
And of course the flood was 4,300 years ago.
Right.
That can't be right.
Well, and they talk about the land bridge, between Russia and Alaska, and, well, maybe there wasn't enough resources if people were trying to go across it to make it down.
Wait, so Sarah Palin wasn't lying when she said that she could see Russia from her house?
I mean, anyone who plays Risk knows that whole armies can march from Alaska to Russia. You gotta watch that.
Interesting. Noted in the ledger.
There's carbon dates that are just so dead wrong it's not even funny.
That was great. That was a fantastic lead-in. Love that shit. Bodie's gonna be my new favorite here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But, I got excited about that, because I've written a book and I have a DVD on the Tower of Babel.
Oh, no, you didn't!
And here's the book in particular. And you can, of course, buy the set if you wanted to, a combo set here.
Oh, yes, I will.
But I like to trace different people groups, try to study the different peoples at the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Babel. Babel.
Yeah. Hey,
How do Australians say it?
You only have a fucking book on it. Can you figure it out?
It's
you know all
tower,
this history
essentially.
stuff, buddy?
Well, I wrote this
That's
book called
him.
The Tower of Babel.
Oh, okay.
But somehow, every once in a while, I forget how to say it.
To be able to take sunlight and convert it into sugar, essentially, nutrients.
That's fascinating to me.
It is. It's
That was Bodie flirting, I think is what that was.
Oh, and someone said you pronounced... How'd you pronounce it?
Babel? Babel?
How'd you pronounce it? They said you pronounced it right,
I pronounce it like the American way.
which is what?
Well, they allow us to say it either way.
So we're getting near the end here.
We're getting near the
well,
end.
we can still do this one.
Let's do one more here.
But it really,
Yeah.
and really, by giving personhood to other things, it really devalues human beings.
It does.
Right? It takes us down because we're not unique anymore.
Obviously, as social animals, we have a tendency to gravitate towards other groups of people, to have empathy, be altruistic, help the tribe, do all these other sorts of things. And I don't think any of that has any sort of spiritual significance that has to deal with Sky Daddy. It really doesn't. It has to do with things that I can see and observe for right now. But it's interesting to me that Answers in Genesis has this twisted idea of, if you're a secular naturalist, you can't feel special for being a person. That's ridiculous. It's a blanket generalization of how atheists or skeptics tend to think about themselves. And I know Ken Ham has talked about how you can't really feel special for being a human if you're an evolutionist because we're all animals. But I think that because we are animals makes us special and makes it that much more rewarding to have empathy to your fellow man/animal. If anything, I would feel less special believing in a God because I know he's going to love me and care for me regardless of what I do, essentially, as long as I repent and say that he sent some dude, alien Jesus guy to the earth to sacrifice himself for my sins. Why do I have to have accountability for anything if I had a guy do that for me already? And all I have to do is say that I believe that it fucking happened.
If anyone has a private jet so we don't have to fly on at the commercial airline
take
anymore,
donations.
just let us know.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for today.
Okay, I guess we're calling it.
Today's was incredibly aggravating, but it was good because it was different. It was good but different.
And since you stuck it out this long, please like or dislike the video. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe so that you don't miss any future episodes?
Talk to you soon. See you next time.
Later.